President Mutharika set to travel to South Africa on a private trip this afternoon. Over 2 million children have been registered under the National Birth Registration Drive. And the 2026 FIFA World Cup underway in North America with 48 teams competing for global honors. Well, thank you for joining us. President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika is set to travel to South Africa this afternoon on a private trip. A statement from the Chief Secretary to the government, Justin Saidi, said President Mutharika will leave the country via Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe at 2 o'clock. The mausoleum of Malawi's former Vice President, Dr. Saulos Chilima, will be unveiled in Ncheu tomorrow. Director of Museums and Monuments, Potfa Kaliba, said the mausoleum is ready for unveiling. Dr. Chilima and 8 others died in a plane crash in Chikangawa Forest 2 years ago. We have a report by Jeffrey Chinawa.
The year 2026 marks the second anniversary of the tragic plane accident that claimed lives of Malawi's former Vice President, Dr. Saulos Chilima, and 8 other people who were on board with him. As part of honoring his life and legacy, a commemorative gathering is set to be held at Nsipe in Ncheu, where people will gather to remember and celebrate his contributions to the country. Speaking to MBC, Director of Museums and Monuments in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Potfa Kaliba, said all preparations for the unveiling ceremony of the mausoleum are in place.
From the side of government and the family, we are set and ready. Everything is in place. Just waiting for Saturday, 13 June, that the unveiling of the mausoleum happens.
A family representative, Dr. Ephraim Chilima, has since held the cordial working relationship between them and government, saying it has led to smooth preparation for the unveiling ceremony.
We are set. We've had quite a number of conversations amongst ourselves as family, as a community. We have also talked to government and they've been very helpful. We've worked, we've held hands, and everything is okay. We are very certain that things will be very well tomorrow, on Saturday. It means a lot. It means a lot to someone who was very dear to the family, someone who was well respected to the family. He cared for a lot for the family, but we also noted that he was at the heart of many, many people in this country. They loved him, they liked him. So we believe that this is going to be a befitting function for someone like that.
Activities lined up for the day include a memorial mass in honor of Dr. Saulos Chilima, led by the Catholic Church, speeches, the actual unveiling of the mausoleum, and the laying of wreaths at the mausoleum. The Minister of Education, Dr. Bright Saka, will represent President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika during the event. A Malawi Defense Force MDF plane carrying former Vice President, former First Lady Shaniu Zimbiri, and 7 other public officers flying from Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe, destined for Nzuzu Airport, crashed in Chikangawa Forest and killed all people on board. Dr. Chilima served as Malawi's Vice President from 2014 to 2019 and from 2020 to 2024. Jeffrey Chinawa, MBC News, Nsipe, Ncheu.
Now, Minister of Homeland Security Peter Mukito has urged police chiefs in the SADC region to join hands and be vigilant in dealing with crime. Mukito said this in Lilongwe when he opened the 31st Annual General Meeting of Southern African Regional Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization, SAPCO. The minister said it is only when African countries have peace and security that the people can do businesses and manage to invest. From Lilongwe, Patrick Dambula reports.
Since Monday, 8th June, Malawi has been hosting the 31st Annual General Meeting of the Southern Africa Regional Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization, SAPCO. Held on a rotational basis among SADC member states, the meeting brings together police chiefs from across the region to discuss security challenges affecting Southern Africa. Speaking during the official opening of the conference in Lilongwe, Minister of Homeland Security Peter Mukhito said that at a time when criminals are increasingly exploiting technology and other sophisticated methods to commit offenses, police services in the SADC region must strengthen collaboration to combat crime effectively. He noted that no single country can successfully tackle transnational crime on its own.
Messages to the police chiefs that are convening their meeting today is to encourage them to work hard and try to make this southern region very peaceful in terms of crime. I wish them nice deliberation, and we want again to see the way they are going to come up with strategies in trying to prevent the human trafficking, which is rampant in our region, and some transnational crimes, the drug trafficking and also the human trafficking. So we wish you well, and would want them to come up with the strategies that are going to stop these crimes that are affecting our southern region.
During the meeting, Malawi Police Service Inspector General Richard Luhanga handed over the SAPCO chairmanship to his Eswatini counterpart, National Commissioner of the Royal Eswatini Police Service, Manoma Vusi Masango. In an interview afterwards, Luhanga said he was pleased with the progress made during his tenure, which included the implementation of key SAPCO resolutions.
We saw that a number of graduates within SADC graduated from the SAPCO Center of Excellence in Harare with a diploma in leadership course and others, but also joint operations, joint trainings. A number of them took place that went simultaneously across the SADC region. And a number of criminals were netted, and a number of criminals have been prosecuted because of these joint operations. So it's a lot of activity that takes place between our countries to try and stop transnational organized crime.
For his part, Masango said he was looking forward to advancing sustainable security across the SADC region through enhanced cooperation among member states.
SADC police chiefs already they've got a roadmap that we need to follow as a region. So mine is to make sure that we follow the roadmap that has already been established, and we need to achieve all the good results and outcomes of that roadmap. It's not about individuals. It's not an individual assignment. It's a collective assignment, because I'll be banking on the other police chiefs from the region.
Nico Geno Insurance Company supported the event with a donation of 300 million kwacha to the Malawi Police Service. Patrick Dambula, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Now, the National Council for Higher Education has challenged institutions of higher learning to equip learners with technical skills that respond to Malawi's development needs. Mche Chief Executive Officer Ignacio Malizani Jimu made the remarks during a tracer study capacity building workshop for institutions of higher learning in Imponela. Jimu said developing technical skills for emerging sectors such as mining and technology could help reposition Malawi's economy as a competitive player in the global market. Details in this report by Trust Office.
The three-day tracer study capacity building workshop has been designed to equip institutions of higher learning with the skills required to conduct and publish effective tracer studies, a development which is expected to provide evidence on whether programs are relevant to the nation's needs. While acknowledging the positive impact universities are making, Nkhani Chief Executive Ignacio Malizani Jimu challenged institutions of higher learning to develop programs that will help the country become competitive across all sectors.
This is in recognition of the contributions that our higher education institutions are making through the innovative programs that they have come up with recently. Of course, there is room for further improvement, so my call will be on higher education institutions to be innovative enough, come up with the new programs that are really relevant, and programs that are futuristic.
One of the participants at the workshop, Malango Mlanjila, describes tracer studies as critical for monitoring the effectiveness and relevance of university programs.
It helps the participants to know how to get to know what the industry is doing, and it's doing and also is requiring. Once they know what the industry is requiring, by knowing what the graduates are going through, then they're going to also to develop training programs to sort out the issues which are in the industry.
The workshop is expected to equip both public and private universities with the capacity to conduct effective tracer studies on their graduates, thereby helping parents and prospective students make informed decisions about the programs universities offer. Trust Office, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Over 2 million children have been registered under the National Birth Registration Exercise, amounting for 89% of the target for Phases 1 and 2. This follows the completion of Phase 2 on 1st April 2026. Victoria Solijala has found this report, read by Mercy Zamawa.
During the first 2 phases, the Bureau successfully covered 10 districts and the city councils. Speaking to MBC, NRB spokesperson Norman Flatila confirmed that while birth certificate distribution is fully in Likoma, teams are working around the clock to finalize the exercise in the remaining 9 councils.
The National Birth Registration Day, which is basically targeting children below the age of 16, is progressing well. We have done Phase 1 and Phase 2. In the first 2 phases, we targeted about 10 councils, city as well as district councils. In the next phase, we are targeting about 5 councils as well. In the first 2 phases, we have registered over 2 million children, representing about 89% of the children which we intended to register in these 2 phases.
Meanwhile, NRB says Phase 3, which is targeting children under 16, will begin on June 29, 2026, covering about 5 additional councils. NRB expects to register all children nationwide by the end of 2026.
And this is MBC News, a reminder of our top stories. President Mutharika set to travel to South Africa on a private trip this afternoon. Over 2 million children have been registered under the National Birth Registration Drive. And the 2026 FIFA World Cup underway in North America, with 48 teams competing for global honors.
FM 2 FM 2 FM 2 FM 2 FM 2 FM.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Natural Resources says plans are underway to ensure that Likubula Lodge in Mulanje is up and running. Minister responsible Patricia Wiskesi said this when she toured the facility to appreciate its current state, since it has not been in operation for the past 2 years. Wiskesi said the ministry is aware that the presence of the lodge at the foot of the Mulanje Mountain plays a vital role in boosting tourism as well as job opportunities for the youth and women.
For almost 2 years now, the Department of Forestry has had has actually received back the management and ownership of Likubula Lodge. There has not been many strides that were taken to ensure that we have the lodge up and running. So our coming today was to appreciate the state in which the lodge is in and to see where we can begin from, and to also determine whether it would be feasible to roll out its operations as immediate as soon as possible. So we have seen the status, we have appreciated it. We will sit down with the steering committee to ensure that we put in place necessary steps to ensure its operations. There are a lot of challenges that we have appreciated, from dilapidation of offices, lack of office space, mobility, as well as understaffing. Some of these issues that were raised today, as a ministry, we are already aware of them, and we have already started taking necessary steps. For instance, with regards to the recruitment, government is at the moment under a ban not to recruit. However, we are still liaising with Office of the President and Cabinet, as well as the Ministry of Finance, to get a waiver for the ministry, particularly given the fact that under Ministry of Natural Resources, there is an almost 68% vacancy rate, which is too high. Most of the critical positions that we need filled are not filled at the moment. So we are asking for a waiver, which I am happy to say we have gotten from OPC. At the moment, we have now written Secretary to Treasury to get an approval from that end, and once that is done, we will very soon begin to recruit for the critical positions, the pressure points that are existing within the ministry. Levels of unemployment in the country remains quite high. As a ministry, it is in our interest that much as we are accessing climate financing and implementing climate-related projects, we should also create opportunities for these young people. At the moment, there are several pathways to access climate financing, some of which include carbon financing, and in that regard, we are liaising with the carbon developers to ensure that when they are implementing their projects, they should also take on board the young people as well as the women, to ensure that we are also creating job opportunities for our young people and our women as well.
The Malawi Red Cross Society has officially launched the 100 million kwacha Insu Resilient project in Palombe. Speaking during the launch, the Society's Director of Programs and Development, Leonard Maganga, said the initiative is aimed at supporting locally led climate adaptation in the district. Charles Pensolo with a report.
The launch started with the distribution of 15 bicycles to lead farmers from Traditional Authority General in the district. Chief Agriculture Officer for Palombe, Francis Mhango, commended the MRCS, saying the bicycles will assist in easing mobility as the lead farmers will be reaching out to their fellow farmers with new farming technology acquired from the society.
The major challenge in terms of agriculture is the numbers of our extension workers. The numbers is still very low, and with the coming of these lead farmers, we believe that the extension service will go very far, because these lead farmers will be supporting our few extension workers who are in the field.
Later, the Malawi Red Cross Society presented a 101.2 million kwacha check to 12 community groups from traditional authorities in Kulambe, Chiwalo, General and Kaduya, marking the official launch of the climate adaptation project. According to Director of Programs and Development for the Society, Leonard Maganga, the communities will be using the funds in emergency preparedness, among others.
Malawi Red Cross Society has provided funds to community groups that are working on different projects aimed at preparing or recovering or restoring different items that were damaged by disasters. Basically, the main reason we have used the communities is because they have been part and parcel of assessing the different needs that they have.
Meanwhile, some communities are using the funds in maintaining bridges, constructing dikes, and evacuation camps, among other projects. In his remarks, Vice Chairperson for Palombe District Council Alex Mambo said most infrastructures in the district were damaged as the area is prone to natural disasters, mainly flooding. He then commended the society for the timely gesture.
I'm so happy representing Palomé District Council. We are so happy, all members of the council, because we have received this initiative from Red Cross. So it's our wish that we need to have this bridge here in Majay village.
According to the Malawi Red Cross Society, the 15 bicycles for the lead farmers were donated with support from the International Federation of Red Cross, while the Inshu Resilient Project is being implemented with funding from the Danish Red Cross. Charles Pensulo, MPC News, Palombe.
The Industrial Relations Court in Zomba has discharged and vacated an interim relief order that had temporarily stopped the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation MPC from implementing the dismissal of a group of employees led by Jawezi Tembo. In a ruling delivered yesterday, Deputy Chairperson Peter Kandulu found that the applicants failed to comply with a court condition requiring them to file and serve an inter partes motion within 7 days after obtaining the interim order. David Kanyenda is representing MPC in the case.
This means that at the moment, all the employees who were affected by the decision of the corporation to sever their employment relationship must go home. Remember that at the outset, when they received their letters advising them that they would no longer be in employment with MPC, they rushed to court. The first cohort rushed to court in Zomba, in the Industrial Relations Court, and obtained what is called an agent interim relief. This agent interim relief was obtained without hearing MPC, and effectively it reinstated them into employment until the hearing and the determination of their case. Now, when we learned about it through the social media, we inspected the court file and found that indeed they had obtained this type of order, and we made an application to challenge it. There were a number of technical legal grounds that have not been alluded to in the ruling itself, because the primary and preliminary issue was disposed of in our favor. We're non-compliant with the fundamental term upon which the agent interim relief was granted, and therefore the Honorable Court felt duty-bound to simply discharge and vacate the agent interim relief, because the applicants' hands were dripping with dirt. They were found to have come to court with unclean hands.
And finally, in sport, the 2026 FIFA World Cup is underway in North America with 48 teams competing for global honors. The tournament is being co-hosted by Canada, USA and Mexico. 2 games have been played this far. Our sports reporter, Norbert Jameson, joins us live for more insights. Norbert, the tournament has begun.
Yes, Sifat.
What are your expectations going forward?
Great start to the tournament, although we saw an unfamiliar scenario where 3 red cards were brandished in the first match between South Africa and Mexico. Mexico being one of the hosts of the tournament, they won that match by 2-0, beating South Africa. I'm expecting a lot of stiff competition and exciting matches going forward, expecting the hosts Mexico, USA and Canada to put up a good fight as well. And also expecting some of the pre-tournament favorites like Spain, France and Portugal also to be in a competitive form in as far as the competition is concerned.
We've seen quite a number of African teams making a showing in the tournament.
Exactly.
What are their chances?
This time around, I think there are chances for African teams because we have 10 teams. Previously, we used to have 5 teams representing the continent because the World Cup tournament used to have 32 teams.
Yes, 32
So this
teams.
is the expanded edition with 48 teams and Africa being represented by 10 teams. So there are chances that we could see African teams going far in this competition. Remember last time, which was in 2022 in Qatar, we had Morocco reaching the semi-finals of the competition. So this time around, we expect more from our team.
Now, what lessons should the local football fraternity draw from this tournament, the World Cup?
I think lots of lessons.
Yeah.
Players have lessons to learn
Okay.
from how their colleagues are performing at the tournament. Referees as well. We have no referees representing Malawi. We have never had a referee actually at the World Cup. We are even struggling to have our referees make it to the AFCON tournaments. So referees have room to improve also with lessons drawn from the tournament. And then we have organizers as well, the administrators on match organization, how they can do it. Football fans also can learn a lot on how it is happening at the World Cup, which has just begun. So there are plenty of lessons to be drawn from the competition as it continues. It's just begun last night all the way to the 19th of July. So there's plenty more to learn from the competition, even from us as journalists as well.
Okay. So aside the World Cup, locally, you know, we have Airtel Top 8 Cup.
Yes.
Take us through that tournament.
The Airtel Top 8 begins tomorrow. It's season 9 of the competition. The first edition started in 2017, and FC Binyasa Big Bullets is the most successful team in the competition with 4 titles. They have won the 3 previous titles, and they are also in action tomorrow. There are 2 matches happening on one venue. The first one, Bligos and Civil Service United at Bingo Stadium. That game starts in the afternoon around 2 o'clock, and then after that, later in the evening from around 5 o'clock, it's when Bullets will play Ekaya. On Sunday, Silver Strikers and Karonga United, as well as Mighty Wanderers, also hosting Craig Sporting. So Bullets have a new coach, you know. The Zambian Wedson Nyirenda, his first match in charge. Craig have a new coach as well, Ernest Ntawali, the Flames legend, his first match in charge as well as they face Mighty Wanderers.
A lot of tests taking place there.
Exactly.
And a lot of fun. All right. Well, that item concludes this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories before we leave. President Mutharika set to travel to South Africa on a private trip this afternoon. Over 2 million children have been registered under the National Birth Registration Drive. And the 2026 FIFA World Cup underway in North America with 48 teams competing for global honors. For the latest news, visit our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You were with me, Sifatim Susa, on behalf of the entire production team. Thanks for watching and have a lovely afternoon.
Something big is coming on NBC. Not what you've seen before. A new force is about to hit the road. Crafted for presence, engineered for power, designed to turn every head before it even arrives. You'll hear it before you see it. You'll feel it before you know it. This isn't just another launch. It's the beginning of advanced broadcasts. Unveiling soon on NBC. Stay ready.
Hello, I am Arthur Chokoto with yet another edition of Business Digest. Now, coming up in the next half hour, National Bank of Malawi sets an ambitious target of achieving 350 billion kwacha profit after tax in 2026. And also in the program, we look at the fears that many people have on retirement due to concerns that their savings may not be enough to sustain them after leaving employment. Stick around for a full package of business and economic stories. National Bank of Malawi PLC has set an ambitious target of achieving 350 billion kwacha profit after tax in 2026, following a strong financial performance that saw the bank's profit rise by 95% to 197.97 billion kwacha in the year ended December 31, 2025. Now, speaking during the bank's 2026 stakeholders engagement, NBM Chief Executive Officer Harold Gia said the bank remains focused on sustaining growth despite Malawi's challenging economic environment.
2025 was a very successful year for National Bank. We delivered resounding performance. We grew by 97%, registering a profit growth from 101 billion to 197 billion. We also registered improvement in our deposits, 44%, registered improvement in our customer numbers, and indeed registered our strong leadership position on our digital banking platforms. So as National Bank of Malawi, we are the largest taxpayer. In 2025, the total taxes that we paid as a bank were 111 billion, 111 billion kwachas. But we also limited other taxes that we collected, about 29 billion. In total, 141 billion is what we limited to MRA. So this is our contribution to the nation because of our economic, of our performance, our good trading performance. We also do support communities in the country. We did spend 2.9 billion to support the vulnerable communities in health, education, scholarships for students, and other areas to support the communities. So in terms of our performance was mainly from three major areas. The interest income was mostly from lending activities where we registered a growth. We also made a lot of from non-interest income. This is a commission for services that we provide to our customer. But also on our digital platform, we are very, very popular. We have the highest following. You may have recently heard from the ICT Association of Malawi, where the Mo 626 was recognized as the disputed leader in the digital platforms. This does provide a lot of income. We also do make some money from our foreign currency trading activities, apart from normal stocks and the other trading activities. Going forward, we plan to continue our leadership position in digital because our vision is to be the #1 digital bank in Malawi. So we are investing a lot into digital to make sure that we continue to harness the gains that we have made. We also have several other initiatives in terms of new products to our customers so that we support our customers with different kind of loans and overdrafts to support their activities and ensure that we expand the export base. So we are financing mining, we are financing commodity production to ensure that at least we improve the supply of foreign currency in the economy.
Of late, there have been growing concerns about auto teller machines, ATMs, failing to serve their purpose due to frequent faults and service interruptions. Commenting on the issue, National Bank of Malawi PLC Chief Executive Officer Harold Gia says the bank is in the process of replacing 19 ATMs that regularly experience operational challenges.
We do have a fleet of about 161 ATMs. We noted that some ATMs, around about 20, had regular problems. We are replacing all of these. We have bought new ATMs and we take out all these and bring in new ones. We also have looked at those other ones that needed extra attention. We have brought in spare parts to rectify the challenges. We have also trained our technicians so that every time there's a problem, we don't need to go to the vendor. Our own people can service these machines. So we expect a better and improved performance going further in 2026.
In an effort to counter financial crimes that may be done through services of NBM, the bank has revealed that about 150 students from universities in the country have been blacklisted as customers of the bank due to money mulling. Now, money mulling is a form of money laundering where criminals use intermediaries, the mules, to receive and transfer illegally acquired money on their behalf. The mule receives stolen funds into their personal bank account, withdraws it or wires it elsewhere, and often keeps a small commission for the service. Charles Ulaya is Chief Risk Officer for NBM. He is also responsible for compliance as well as all money laundering issues at National Bank of Malawi. He says there are a lot of business people in money mulling where leaders involve a lot of people on externalizing forex.
I think, as you know, Malawi is facing a critical shortage of forex at the moment. And we see a lot of business people that want to cut corners by involving themselves in what we call money mulling. Money mulling is where someone is the leader, and then he connives with a lot of people. I made an example during my presentation that some people even go to the extent of going to a church and they pursue innocent mothers of ours and say open an account with National Bank, and then they apply for forex, buy them tickets, and then say, look, these people are traveling with us for a church crusade, right? Others are going to the universities, right? Where they woo students, first-year students in a university, and they tell them, look, I'm opening this account, there will be miracle money that is going to come to your account. I mean, they deposit the monies, and these children of ours get wooed because they want to receive something. And once they open the account, they get the card and then they apply for forex, and then innocently those people, once we catch them, unfortunately we close the account, and on my desk I have no option but to de-risk them because the bank cannot be dealing with such people. So my plea is, please parents, please churchgoers, nobody should woo you to open an account and ask you to provide their bank card as well as the PIN code, because it's not in line with the bank. The bank only provides the card for your usage, and therefore nobody should ask you to give them your card and PIN for them to transact elsewhere.
Now, you also spoke as a concerned Malawian that such a malpractice may affect the future of, say, the students. How exactly?
At the moment, there are about 150 students in the universities of this country that we have blacklisted, meaning their future, they will never have an opportunity to operate a bank account in National Bank. Neither will they have, therefore what it means is that we have almost killed their life, because they will not have any access to any facilities in National Bank. They cannot operate any bank account. And these are innocent children, and they don't know how much they have killed themselves.
Well, you're watching Business Digest with me, Arthur Chokoto. Stick around for more. Many people fear retirement due to concerns that their savings may not be enough to sustain them after leaving employment. Against this background, Continental Asset Management, CAM, and Continental Pension Services, CPS, have called for greater focus on sustainable income management, saying pension and asset managers can help retirees grow investments and secure long-term income. The call was made during a pension working breakfast in Blantyre. Gillian Kajikondo is Chief Executive Officer for Continental Asset Management.
We brought together a number of stakeholders in a pension fund and the pension management. You saw that we had the regulator in the room, Reserve Bank of Malawi. We had the Continental Asset Managers as fund managers. We had the Continental Pension Services, which is a pension service administrator, but we also had in the room trustees, HR professionals, and even retirees themselves. What we have from all the engagements, which were very, very lively, what we have noted is that there is still a gap in the market when it comes to pensions that needs to be bridged. So most people sometimes are not aware as to what the pension is supposed to achieve, which is a steady income when the final paycheck comes and when the regular paycheck from the employer stops flowing. Pension is supposed to replace that paycheck, and as much as possible you should ensure that that replacement, it replaces to a certain extent a higher percentage of your paycheck, and that is achieved through diligently contributing. In some cases you may need to add more contributions than what is the regulatory minimum, but what we have seen is that there's still a gap in the market that needs to be bridged, and that is one of the take-home lessons to say we need to bridge the gap. But also the fact that retirement planning shouldn't start when you are maybe 5 years from retirement or 2 years from retirement. It should actually start when you first start working. So at an early age, those messages need to be disseminated, because everyone has to understand that one day they will retire. And as you heard in the room, it is not a choice. It is something that will happen. It is certainty. And the fact that it is certainty, everyone needs to prepare for it.
Okay, now on another note for continental pension, what is the compliance status of your clients in remittance of the contributions?
As usual, you have some clients that are complying, and you usually have others that are not complying. And as a pension fund, especially Continental Pension Services, which is a pension administrator, the role that they have to play there is to ensure that the reminders are going and the consequences are being discussed with the clients, to ensure that as much as possible they are being supported to make good of these areas, because at the end of the day, any pension money that has not been remitted is an opportunity of investment income foregone for the member that those funds belong to.
Retiree Patrick Muhango also emphasized the importance of early retirement planning and investment.
I am a former employee of the Reserve Bank of Malawi. I used to work as executive director responsible for supervision and regulation of the financial services industry. I retired towards the end of last year, which was in September. And now, as a retiree, I'm doing my own things. I'm doing small businesses here and there, and then managing my own things, farming, and some of my projects. So basically, I think that's what's keeping me busy at the moment.
Well, you had a critical role in the engagement. What was your key message?
You know, we were discussing accumulation and then decumulation. What happens after the final paycheck? This is to do with the experience one has when you attain retirement. We are just trying to focus and look at how should people perceive and look at the issues relating to retirement. Retirement should not be seen as an event, but it's a process. Most people get scared. As you are approaching retirement, you are excited, but again, you have a lot of anxiety. The reason being that most of the time we are not sure, because our life has been programmed to work in a special fashion. You have a certain format. You have a special framework in terms of daily life. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you knock off around 5 or even 7. And you do that for 5 days of the week. And you do that year in, year out. For example, for myself, I'd been working with the central bank for the last 35 years. So that became part of me. The positions you hold, that defines who you are and the successes that you have achieved. All of a sudden you find that you have retired. So those things are no longer meaningful to you. You are now just a Patrick Muhangu, someone who has to do your own things. So we are discussing and saying and sharing with the members or the participants to the workshop that retirement should not be something that should scare you. You need to prepare. You need to plan. It should not be like something that you didn't know will happen. If there is something that is certain for sure for a working employee, is that at some point, one day, you are going to receive that one check. One day, you are going to receive your final check. And one day, that will be it. And now you have to start thinking differently. Now, the thing about retirement is you need to have a mindset shift. You need to adjust because things are no longer the same. This time around, you have to know that that paycheck, the salary, will no longer be there. What you are going to receive is your pension. And with that pension, it may not be the same as what you are receiving. Actually, the key thing is pension is just what we say a replacement income in retirement. With pension, it's not meant to provide you 100% coverage of what you used to receive. Because at that point when you are working, you are being remunerated based on your output. But this time, what you get as pension is something that is there to reflect that you did contribute to an institution, and then you've accumulated something, some savings, and it's those savings now that should keep you afloat. You know what? The life we live as we are working is shaped by so many other factors. The environment you are working in, the money that you are getting, the fact that you are sure that next month I'm going to get this much, the forecast other benefits that are provided by the employer. But when you retire, all those things will not be there. So you need to adjust. And this is what we are sharing with the participants to this particular workshop. That you need to adjust and be prepared to lead a different life.
Small and medium enterprises, SMEs, remain at the heart of Malawi's industrialization agenda, driving innovation, job creation, and economic growth. Recognizing their critical role, the 2026 Malawi International Trade Fair highlighted the importance of creating opportunities for local businesses to expand their markets and scale up production. Among the enterprises looking to leverage the trade fair platform for growth was Village Farms Limited, a Malawian company manufacturing a diverse range of products. Business Digest caught up with Chisomo Zawanda, agribusiness manager for Village Farms Limited, to learn about the company's ambitions.
Village Farms is an agro-processing company which is producing various products, value-added products, including maize corn, roasted maize corn, chimanga joka zinga, honey, as well as coffee. So with regard to the theme, we have brought our very innovative products. As you can see, we have chimanga joka zinga, which is a very innovative idea, which is moving towards industrialization according to this year's theme. And we are looking forward to demonstrating our products and making our products known to a diverse audience. As you can see, this is just a 100-gram packet of maize. When you find it on the market, you cannot buy it at the same price of 2,500 kwacha. But when we add value, when we roast it and package it like this in a very beautiful package, as you can see, it sells at a higher price. When we add value, we sell at a very higher price, and we are increasing revenue for the company.
But what are the other products that you're focusing on?
Okay, so we have honey, and we also have coffee. We have honey, coffee, and roasted corn. So currently, we are supplying to major retail outlets in the country. We are supplying to Sana, Chipigu, and Shopwise.
Okay, how about exports?
As of now, we are working towards refining our products so that they can be able to compete at the export market. As soon as we find export opportunities, we'll be able to export outside the country.
Okay, now in this interview,
our inspirational quote today was coined by Henry Ford, an American industrialist and business magnate, founder of the Ford Motor Company. This is what he said. Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together is a success. End of quote. We need synergies for the success of our businesses because, like Ken Blanket said, none of us is as smart as all of us. End of another quote. Well, on that note, we come to the end of this week's edition of Business Digest. From me, Arthur Chokoto, it's thanks for watching. Think business. Develop yourself and develop the country. Keep watching MBC TV.
Sabara ino mu program ya Woman Talk.
Kodi ngoyenera kuti munthu amene ali kunja afuna upanga unkhoswe koma akulephera kuti mwina angabwere kunoko mchimwene wake azimuyimirira.
Mamuna ndi mkazi adzasiya makolo awo nkukhala bathupi limodzi. So pano abaduka apanga kuti akakhale matupi atatu.
Chinkhoswe chimenechi ubale umenewu umakhala upitiriraadi zaka zimatali limodzi kapena ayi.
Tikutengeka sali kunja. Ndero wanoja wakhudula luzinthu.
Makamakazi maifena amene makhala ndi mphuma kwambiri. Mwana iwe wakhalitsa akwatiwe. Ndikuchita manyazi. Kuchita manyazi bwanji m'Bible munalibe anthu oti sana akwatiwe.
Ine kumene kundikuona ngati kuti ndikuyamba zinthu zosatheka.
Nkati lero kutha lero kutha basi. Tivomereze.